please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let the record show that all board members are present and in attendance. I would like at this time to invite Ms. Krista Williams up to the microphone for our student representative report.
Hi, I'm Krista Williams, and this is from the Student Senate. So the beginning of the year has been pretty smooth, the new phone policy. Getting there. Not everyone puts the phone in the pouch, but it is one, and not all. And then Student Senate this month is raising money for breast cancer awareness. We're doing it by selling t-shirts, which is on our Instagram if you want to buy it. It's on the little flyer you can put down here for one of us. And then there's actually a lot of breast cancer stuff going on in the school. My friend Damiana, her club, she's doing like a donation thing where she's getting donations and she's gonna donate it to the breast cancer coalition too. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're excited for the next part of the school year.
So I just want to hear it for the record again, that the cell phone policy is good. We're getting there. I've heard her say it was very good. Okay, great.
And
Well,
where
thank
do you
you.
get those breast cancer t-shirts?
It's on our Instagram. If you search like West Desert High School Student Senate.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out tonight.
Thank you.
Any tests tomorrow? Go study.
Yeah, and stuff.
There you
All
go.
right, thank you.
Okay, that actually leads us right into a discussion regarding the new student board member.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tussey. You know, I know that the Board of Education values student voice. We're always, you know, really trying to encourage at the cabinet level as well, student advocacy and students speaking up for what's going on in the buildings. Recently, Governor Hochul signed legislation to require every BOCES and every school district that includes high school grades to have at least one student representative on their Board of Education. So student board members would not be permitted to vote or to participate in executive sessions, but they would have a space at the dais. We would have a student representative for the Board of Education. Their name would be on the dais. They would come and sit at the meeting. And it's kind of similar to, you know, kind of what we just saw with Krista and her report. Would give us the student report for the Board of Education at each meeting, and would also then be able to give any sort of announcements, participate in the discussion. But there is a process that was outlined for that. The legislation requires districts and BOCES to establish a process for selecting student board members. So the student board members may be selected one of the five ways. The student has been duly elected as student president of the high school. A student selected by the high school student government. A student selected by the high school principal. A student selected by the superintendent of schools. Or a student selected by majority vote of the school board. So we can go by any of those five. You know, we know we have many amazing students at the high school. The only restrictions would really be we wouldn't want to, the student has to have a full year at the building before being elected, so we wouldn't be able to have a ninth grader or a freshman, right? We also obviously wouldn't be looking to elect a current senior because they'd be graduating. So we're really looking at 10th and 11th grade students in the current school year and deciding who we might want to serve on the board. So any thoughts on which of those the board would prefer?
I would like to, I wonder if there's a list of interested students. I just wonder how many students there are before we figure out how to go about selecting it. You know,
Yeah.
do we want to do that? Do we want the students to do that?
So I said, could be president of the student council.
Absolutely, yeah, and we could, you know, we could do,
Oh, well, yeah. could be-
yeah, so that may disqualify a person if they're a senior, but we could do exactly what you're outlining, Mr. Tussey, and reach out to the high school and see, you know, put out some information about this, see who's interested, and then go from there as a next step.
Take recommendations to principal and they can find
Does it say when they want to have this implemented and start? I don't know if you mentioned.
Yes, absolutely. So this should be in place for our reorganization meeting in July, so we have plenty of time. It's just, wanted to bring it up because it was just signed, and over the course of this school year, we can look to elect a student board member. It'll be an annual appointment.
Yeah.
So each year at the reorg meeting. we meet.
I think,
If there's several, I'm sorry, Peter, I'm cutting you off. If there's several interested, I'd like to invite them to a board meeting, have them sit, experience it, see what's going on.
I think come up with a process where, first of all, get kids who are interested, right? So it's not just, hey, and then really go through a process of maybe participate in a board meeting, maybe even looking, sitting with each one, looking on a resume of what they've done, to really get a feel for them and then interview them, depending how many there are.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we'll get the word out about this at the high school. We'll collect some information regarding interested students, and then we can go from there.
Great.
Good. Great. We certainly have plenty of time, so plenty of time should be good.
You guys good with that?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, we don't have any public cards, so I'll just double check anybody here would like to speak on behalf of an agenda item. Great. Okay, can I have a motion, please, needed to approve the minutes of the September 24th, 2024 planning session?
second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Yeah, please.
So the next item on the agenda is a recognition for School Board Recognition Week. So we would love to recognize our school board today. School Board Recognition Week is actually next week, the 14th through the 18th of October. And it's a week set aside to recognize school board members for their commitment to New York public school children. Recognizing school board members' service should be a year-round endeavor, but designating 1 week to highlight these volunteers' efforts ensures they receive some of the thanks that they deserve. School Board Recognition Week is an opportunity to raise community awareness and understanding about the crucial role school board members have within a school district. So we've left, on behalf of the cabinet and myself, we believe we have the greatest school board out there, and we shared a small gift as a token of our appreciation. You'll see a few things in there. One is I have to also give a huge thank you to my assistant, Maureen O'Connor, who was able to assemble all the little details in there. You'll see there's, what is the saying on the Reese's?
I told you recently.
I told you recently.
Oh,
Yep. So the Reese's, and then we also have. I know the board is always, concerned about smart spending and sustainability. Which is recycling printer ink yesterday for one of our board members. So we included actually a reusable notebook for you if you're interested in it. It's called a Rocket Book, and the way that it works is, it comes with a pen. You can take notes on it. It wipes away. However, if you scan it with your phone, you can set it up that the notes go directly into your Google Drive. You can name it, and it just pops right in there by scanning the code. And so you can have any sort of notes for any of our meetings throughout the year, easily accessible anytime you'd like to go back and have them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you. We really appreciate our school board.
On behalf of everyone here, I thank you guys all for the recognition, and I know we are all very happy to be part of this board. So, with that being said, we're going to move into personnel. Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. The first item on personnel is actually a memorandum of agreement between the WIDA Teaching Assistants Chapter, the West Islip Union Free School District, and Employee A. May I request a motion for approval of that memorandum?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Moving on to the personnel agenda, I'd like to request a motion for all items as listed in the personnel agenda in your backup for items T1 through and including CL5. Request a motion.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to request a motion for the appointment of 2 mentors. Monica Elgett, as listed in your agenda, will be mentoring April Verga for world languages, and 1 walk-in item is for Robin Southern, who will be mentoring Jessica Phillips in psychology. May I request a motion for those 2 appointments of mentors?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
And the last thing I'd like to do is request a motion for all club advisors for the 24-25 school year as listed in the personnel agenda and including the substitute teachers. I request a motion for all remaining items.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Curriculum update, Mrs. Morrison.
Good evening, everyone. Last night, West Islip celebrated our literacy work over the past few years at our first Literacy Forum. At the forum, we had a panel of teachers, administrators, and reading specialists who shared information with the attendees about the district's literacy initiatives over the past 6 years, information about the science of reading, dyslexia, the MTSS process, and the resources that the district utilizes to support literacy acquisition skills. We are also pleased to announce that we will be having another Literacy Parent Academy in November in one of our elementary buildings, where parents will have the opportunity to come into our classrooms and to see and work with the materials that our students and teachers utilize in the classrooms each day. The date and the time and the location of that event will be forthcoming. We are also very excited to announce our first book talk for the school year. The title of the book is The Anxious Generation. It addresses the challenges that really not only kids are facing today in this fast-paced, high-pressured world filled with technology, but also adults as well. And we're going to meet on 3 occasions, the first of which is October 23rd, to talk about the content of the book and how we can relate it to things that we may be seeing going on with our own students and children here in West Islip, and what we can do to help them. So this information is posted on the website, but again, the first meeting is October 23rd at 7 p.m. in the Library Media Center of West Islip High School. We are continuing our partnership with EF Tours for the 2025-2026 school year to provide our students with travel abroad learning experiences. There will be a travel presentation held on October 23rd at 7 p.m. at the high school. We have 2 things going on that night regarding the travel opportunities. For February of 2026, our students have the opportunity to take a trip to the Galapagos Islands, and also for April 2026, they have an opportunity to take a trip to Barcelona and Madrid. So we look forward to sharing that information with the school community at the end of October. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Morrison. We do have 6 board committee reports tonight, so we're going to start off with Mr. McCann and the Safety Committee.
Well, thank you, Mr. Tussey. The Safety and Security Committee meeting was held on September 17th at 8:30 in the Paul J. Ballou Elementary School cafeteria. Just for the record, we meet 4 times a year. It's usually every other month, so this is our first meeting. Board members in attendance were myself and Ms. Brown. Administrators were Dr. Romanelli, Mrs. Morrison, Mrs. Pilati, and Mr. Cameron. And then the principals, we had Dr. Bridgman, Dr. Markwood, Andrew O'Farrell, Mrs. Harvey, Mr. Mullins, Mrs. Pratt, Mrs. Williams, James Bossi and Tim Moran, Patrick Kylie Rennan, and Sean McAlevey led the meeting. Most of the items on the agenda that we talked about, technology updates, we're putting in some more door alarms, additional alarms around the building to protect against children walking out, so the doors would ring if a door is opened. We're taking a look at keyless locks. We're going to pilot keyless locks, which is like if you've ever been to the hotel, your card swipe opens the door. But what's nice about that is the door locks behind you. So as part of the Massera group, we toured that building. All of their locks, all of their doors are now keyless. So the badge opens it up, which gives you trackability to see who opened and closed the door, but it also locks the door behind you. So we're going to look to start to pilot that. We talked about the RAVE system. The RAVE is an app on the phones of employees where if there's an emergency, they can go right to the app, and that goes right to the emergency services group. We talked also about some new hires. There's been some turnover in the security team, so Mr. McAlevey is working on some open new positions. We're not shorthanded at all. We're working out with the staff now. We have a sensational security staff, and I appreciate everything that they do, and we're looking to build upon that. We then had a topic of the high school dismissal. For those who don't have high school students or don't go to the high school in the morning, we changed the method of entering the high school in the morning, where Lions Path is just one way, and then cars exit another way. So we took a look at some traffic that was backing up on Higby Lane when that happens, and coming up with a better plan for that. In fact, just this morning, a few of us, Dr. Romanelli and myself, with town officials and the Department of Public Works, actually were there for about an hour taking a look at that traffic pattern, and they're coming up with some solutions to maybe reprogram that light so that it works more effectively for traffic. And that was it. Meeting adjourned, and we'll meet again in 2 months.
Does traffic back up in Higby?
No, traffic never backs up on Higby.
All right, where are we? Mrs. Kelly, we got health and wellness.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. The Health and Wellness Committee met on Tuesday, September 17th at the Paul J. Blue Cafeteria at 9:30 a.m. Members present were Tim Horan, Dr. Romanelli, Dawn Morrison, Deb Brown, Pete McCann, Justin Arini, Lindsay Ednick, Rhonda Pratt, Mark Soto, Ariana Stubman, Melanie Steinweiss, Megan Chu, Gail Doherty, Lindsay Hamchuk, Christina Elefante, Noreen Pansner, Sarah Hasney, Stephanie Galamas, Maureen Pike, Megan Tesser, Barbara Voorhees, Nicole Purvis. The mission statement, the West Islip Health and Wellness Alliance of Volunteers unites to reduce substance abuse and misuse among youth, to create a strong collaboration within the community and cultivate healthy attitudes and behaviors. We went over the health and wellness initiatives of last year and then also upcoming initiatives for this new 2024-25 school year. We went over the financial report. We are also having a branch of that health and wellness for mental health, which I'm very excited about. And so that will be led by Justin Arini, Lindsay Ednick, Gail Doherty, and we're going to have our first meeting on that on October 15th. The 2024 Glow Run, which will be Wednesday, November 6th, is at 6:30 p.m. at the West Islip High School. This is a Family Connect night, so you don't have to worry about any homework. Well, I hope you don't have to worry about any homework. Registration will be through My School Bucks, which will start this month. Pre-registration is $8 per person, $30 for a family of 4 or more. The event is rain or shine. There'll be a DJ and popcorn, and it should be a lot of fun. The flyer will be shared with buildings and the community this week. The elementary school with the greatest participation will receive $150 for supplies. Participants are encouraged to wear glow-in-the-dark clothing, accessories, and all registrants will receive additional glow-in-the-dark accessories. So our 2024-25 initiatives, Islip Goes Purple. This is in memory of those lost, those who are in recovery, and those who are struggling, and their families throughout the town of Islip and across Long Island. Those who are impacted by mental illness, struggling with mental illness, and those affected by substance use disorder. The Health and Wellness Alliance Senior Scholarships. The Alliance will determine the amount based on available funds. The Health and Wellness, the annual West Islip Breast Cancer Coalition Awareness Day. It's Friday, October 18th. The Alliance approved the purchase of pink pens to help support this event. The West Islip staff has raised and donated $47,585 to the West Islip Breast Cancer Coalition over the years. The Alliance plans to host the 3rd annual Gingerbread House Decorating Party. This is always a huge success on 12/18. And this is at the West Islip High School from 6 to 8 p.m. This is also a Family Connect night. And the newsletter, the Health and Wellness newsletter, spoke with members and they're encouraged to submit relevant articles for the upcoming newsletter. We also went over we gave the calendar for the 2024-25 meeting dates. We added one evening date, which is February 11th, and it's at 6:30 p.m. Mark Soto from the Youth Enrichment Services, he gave us an overview of what they're doing for the town of Islip, and he's going to work closely with the Mental Health and Wellness Subcommittee. The next meeting will be held on Monday, November 4th at 9:30 in the morning at the Paul J. Blue Cafeteria.
Thank you, Mrs. Kelly. Let's move into Education Committee with Mr. Antonello.
Thanks, sorry. It was louder than I thought. All right, Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Tussey. The Education Committee met at 6:30 on Tuesday, October 8th, in Beach Street Library. All board members were in attendance. Superintendent Dr. Romanelli was there, along with Assistant Superintendent Don Morrison, Assistant Superintendent Elisa Pilati, and Mr. Jim Cameron. The first thing that was discussed was the literacy forum, which of course was mentioned by Mrs. Morrison, which was last night. An overview of reading initiatives taken by the district, including the science of reading, and the board members are all very happy with that direction that we're taking. October 23rd, book talk. The third thing mentioned was the IB program that the administration will be looking into the courses for IB for next year, taking a look at redundancy in the courses with AP. Also some discussion about modeling middle school programs in social studies and English after the high school, and also exploring 8th grade humanities as well. Superintendent's Conference Day will be November the 15th. Former FBI agent will be talking about security. Also, there will be an ed camp. Teachers were surveyed on topics that they wanted to focus on. Foundations, the 3rd grade rollout has gotten positive reaction from the 3rd grade teachers. There's attendance policy review committee update as well. And also a reminder that pre-K registration process is beginning, and there were discussions about a number of students and a number of sections for that. The meeting ended at 7 p.m.
Great, thank you, Mr. Antonello. Finance Committee, Mrs. Marks.
Good evening. Good evening. The Finance Committee met on Tuesday, October 8th. All board members were present. Administrators present were Dr. Romanelli, Mrs. Pilati, Mrs. Morrison, and Mr. Cameron. The purpose of the meeting was discussion of pertinent fiscal matters. The meeting was called to order at 7:01 p.m. The following were presented and accepted by the committee: the Treasurer's Report, school district funds for the summer, June, July, and August, extracurricular for July and August, payroll summary for July and August, financial statements for June, July, and August, internal claims audit report for September, system manager audit trail for September, payroll certifications for September 19th and October 2nd, review of warrants, review of board agenda finance items, included the approval of budget transfers. Just prior to this meeting tonight, we had our audit committee meeting at 7 o'clock. All board members were in attendance with the same administrators. Our external auditors, R.S. Abrams, reviewed our financial statements and year-end results for last year. And the district reserve plan has been updated for last school year and is currently available on the district website. The plan goes over each of the district's reserve, the funding levels, and the actual balances as of June 30th, 2024. The historical fund balance analysis was reviewed with the committee. The district spent approximately 98.6% of the 2023-2024 expenditure budget. The remaining fund balance at year end will be allocated to the workers' compensation TRS subfund, capital, and capital to reserves. And I will say that we received the highest rating possible from the auditor, so great job to Mrs. Pilati. She does a phenomenal job. The committee also reviewed the arbitrage rebate and yield restriction compliance report for the 2023-2024 TAN borrowing. This report is prepared by the district's bond counsel, Hawkins, Delafield, and Wood, in order to comply with IRS rules, and the district must track the use of funds for all TAN and bond borrowings to ensure no arbitrage-related liability exists. The report for the TAN borrowing was positive in that the district had no rebate liability amount due to the U.S. Treasury Department. Separate reports for the 2020 and 2021 bond borrowings will be forthcoming. The meeting was adjourned at 7:11.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Marks. We'll move into Policy Committee with Mr. Vidal.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Good evening, everybody. Policy Committee met this Tuesday, the 8th. We talked about the Board of Ed self-evaluation tool. We were given two options, I guess you could say. We're going to kind of combine the two of them. It's a tool to help the Board of Ed evaluate themselves on goals and how we did. New policies that we're going to be looking at this year is a big one on AI, a FOIL request notification for employees, so we have to let the employees know if their information is being FOILed, and we're also looking at the attendance policy, and the committee's working on that. we're looking at the facility development, which is the 7,000s, and also the support services, which is the 8,000s in the policies. We're also going to, on November 4th, at the Board of Ed meeting, we're going to adopt the Series Zeros and the 1,000s, 2,000s, and 3,000s, which is the goals and objectives is the zeros. The community relations is the 1,000s. School board government and operations is 2,000s, and administration is 3,000s. And that was pretty much it for the policy commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bedell. And finally, we have the special ed committee with Mrs. Brown.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Tussie. The Special Education Committee met at 9 a.m. on October 9th, 2024 at District Office. In attendance were administrators Dr. Romanelli, Dawn Morrison, Jean Dowling, Gail Doherty, Lindsay Ednick. Board members in attendance were myself and Christina Marks. The committee discussed IEPs from CSE and CPSE recommendations from the respective committees. These recommendations will be approved this evening. The special ed department continues to work hard with our students and families to support their learning and program needs. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge Dyslexia Awareness Month. I got my red glasses on. Red is the color for dyslexia awareness. If you had the opportunity to attend the Literacy Forum last night, the administrative and teaching staff presented a lot of information on dyslexia, core instruction, how the brain learns to read, as well as methods used in our classrooms to support and assist all students in their reading journey. We want to thank the administrative and teaching staff for their thoughtful and informative presentations, especially because the Mets game was playing at the same time. We are happy to report the district continues to build on its literacy practices in many ways, including core instruction, professional development, staff certifications, supplies, and data literacy. If you missed it, it'll be available on recording in the future. PM Pediatrics was on site yesterday to conduct annual training for our social work and psychology staff. In regard to the services they provide and how to make a referral, the district has partnered with PM Pediatrics in order to provide another layer of mental health support for our students. The meeting adjourned at 10 a.m. The next special education committee will be on November 4th at 11 a.m. And just to add, Mara D'Amico, this year's SEPTA president, joined us for the non-confidential portion of the meeting. SEPTA is working on bringing in a variety of speakers for this year's meetings, including the owner of Valhallen, who will speak about alternative to sports through gaming and educational opportunities in the industry. Laura Holland, who is an all-ability wellness specialist, will be presenting at the January 22nd meeting. She does an amazing presentation with information relevant to all parents and all students. There is a SEPTA silent dance on November 15th at 6:30. All are welcome. You can register online. Please consider joining SEPTA via Member Hub. The next SEPTA meeting will be Tuesday, October 15th at 7:30 at Beach following the PTA meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Brown. We'll move into business items with Ms. Polano.
Thank you, Mr. Tussie. May I have a motion for the approval of budget transfers 4442 through 4447 in the general fund and 4441 through 4444 in the capital fund?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, can I have a motion of approval, please, for the receipt of the independent auditor's report for the year ending June 30th, 2024 from R.S. Abrams?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval, please, a recommendation that the Board of Education approves the corrective action plan in response to the independent auditor's report for the year ending June 30th, 2024, submitted by the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Operations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval, please, for Divine Rhythms Dance, Second Amendment to the lease agreement, September 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2028.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Can I have a motion of approval, please, for the confidential settlement agreement with the West Islip Union Free School District?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval for the resolution regarding the Board of Education, which approves the recommendations of the Special Education Committee of Students as listed in the district's backup and authorizes the district to arrange for appropriate services?
So moved.
Second. Excited. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Romanelli?
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. We have really enjoyed touring our buildings across the district with our Board of Education members over the past month. We have had a few tours already, and we have a few remaining. Our first tour of the year kicked off with Mr. Bedell at Bayview. We did some block building in some of the early classes, saw some foundation lessons, got to speak with students firsthand, and saw the great prize vending machine purchased by the PTA there, which is going to be filled with books and pencils and different bracelets and things like that students can earn when they are doing things positively in the building, which we thought was really cool. Mrs. Brown joined us at Open Up, which was great. We were able to play with some Play-Doh, which was really fun. Took some birthday selfies with students that it was their birthday, and we saw some really great early literacy lessons, and we were led by Mrs. Harvey, who I see is here tonight. It was a wonderful tour. Mr. Bedell and Mrs. Kelly also joined us at Beach Street Middle School. We visited some tech classes where we saw some students utilizing block coding to develop some games. They could choose between a Pong-style game or a maze-style game that they were creating. We visited a classroom, math classroom, where they were working on inequalities, and the teacher was using the writable desks, so putting inequalities on top of the desk and switching up so students could solve inequalities across the room. We love seeing those desks, in action. And also just visited some other classrooms. We we were in a social studies classroom actually, and Mr. Bedell got called on while he was in the classroom. I must say gave a very insightful and correct answer. It was giving kudos to the teacher. And we saw some different interpretations of text in an ELA classroom and some fall artwork as well. Finally, Mr. McCann, I believe this was today. It seems like a while back, but it was today, this morning, right? Mr. McCann came to visit over at Udall, and we got to visit some different music classrooms. We heard the band play. We saw some a great art lesson going on, and we were able to visit with a number of teachers and just talk about how the year was going so far. We took a visit to the command center to see, really our school safety hub there and view the cameras across the district, take a look at that in action. And we saw some, I'm not wearing my coupe, but they were doing a fundraiser where students can earn different characters that hang around their ID badge. And I was able to trade my coupe with 3 different students throughout our tour just in that time, so it was a lot of fun. And we have some remaining trips coming up in the next 2 weeks. We're going to be visiting West Islip High School with Mrs. Marks and Mr. Tussey, Manatuck Elementary School with Mr. Antonello, and Paul J. Blue with Mr. McCann and Mrs. Kelly as well. So we're looking forward to those 3 remaining trips. And just only one other item, we're proud to announce that the district will be hosting Nerd Camp on Saturday, November 2nd. This event itself is a celebration of literacy and book club, and it is 2 parts. One part is where we welcome educators from across Long Island. We anticipate a few hundred educators to be talking about everything literacy from 8:30 to 12 on that day. It's being hosted at Beach Street Middle School. So we're very excited that West Islip is going to be really the center of Long Island when talking about literacy that day. And we also have a session for families, which we're really excited. We're going to be putting this out on Parent Square. We will have around 25 authors as of right now. I know Mr. Cameron has been great in kind of setting the planning for this, and we've been, Mrs. Morrison and I have been along for the ride and helping out with planning the event as well. And there's going to be a number of different books and authors there at this event from 12:30 to 1:30. You can come and just visit the authors with your children, or purchase books, or if you already have the book, you can have it autographed by the author. But it's a great hour where there's a lot of different opportunities to visit authors and purchase books and things like that. So we'll be sharing out that flyer, but it's been a great month in the school district.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody, for all your insightful reports. Everything sounds great and exciting, and I know we're all looking forward to continuing a great school year.
At this point in time, I don't have any big cards, so we just double check. Anyone from the audience that wishes to speak tonight? Okay, my kind of answer. Can I have a motion to adjourn to exec session, please? Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody, for coming.